So I posted a video about making vegetable broth, bringing it up to a boil, and then we're going to let it simmer for about an hour. So then it can go into our vegetable soup. So I recently shared how I am actually following the Daniel fast, which is a 10 to 40 day plan of getting back to nature and getting back to the basics. So water and vegetables, pulses, so vegetables, fruits. But let's be honest, eat your veggies because they provide so much nutrition. So I'm going to put some olive oil into my pot here. And I have already chopped up celery, onions, and carrots. Did you know that a mixture of celery, onions, and carrots are called a mirepoix? Hopefully I said that right. But so next time somebody says mirepoix, you know what it is. Simply a mixture of celery, onion, and carrots. And this, generally speaking, is going to form the base of any wholesome, nutritious recipe that you buy. So I've chopped up the carrots. Here's a fun question for you. Do you peel your carrots? Because I like to peel my carrots. I wash them and I peel them. My husband, on the other hand, is team no peel. I'm sure there's some good nutrients in that peel, but maybe someday. So I'm going to get started, and we're going to go ahead and bring these carrots to a little bit of a higher heat and get them to kind of soften up a bit. They take a little bit longer than the celery and the carrots, so I'm going to get them started, and we'll give them just a couple minutes. Okay. But we talked about earlier about how, food has the power to heal you, and honestly, when you have an ailment, no matter what it is, inflammation, something's painful, you're not sleeping right at night, you got headaches, upset tummy, maybe you got some anxiety. One of the first questions I feel like we should be asking our patients is, what does your diet look like? I know when I take my dog to the vet, because they're having an issue, like maybe their skin is bothering them and they're getting rashes, the first thing my vet will ask is, what are you feeding them? But here in America, in the medical system, I don't think we do a very good job of that. And now we're going to pour in, and I did not measure anything. Generally speaking, like it should be 1 to 1 to 1. But there's no right or wrong. Like it's your soup. So, and there's very little calories in vegetables, so don't worry about it. And you mentioned, I think yesterday, that I'm actually reading the Daniel plan, and I was surprised to hear that some of these doctors went and worked with families because they didn't know how to cook. They didn't know how to do the basics of cooking. And I thought, oh my goodness, I couldn't even understand. I couldn't understand it, which is fine. I don't have to understand everything. But these doctors went in and they worked with these families and taught them how to cook their meals. And in a matter of months, they checked back in with them in like 6 months. And I think the mom herself had lost like 30, 40 pounds. All right, so our vegetable broth is boiling. So we're going to lower that to a simmer. Put the lid back on. Lower the heat to low, and that'll start simmering in a little bit there. So I'm also going to throw some mushrooms in here. I prefer brown mushrooms, but Tim brought me home white from the store, and you get what you get, and you don't get upset. That was. And that's for like if your mushrooms are really dirty, you can go ahead and wash them. You can remove the stems if you want. But generally speaking, I just like to use everything. It's so nutritious for you. I think it's so good. Once you see this stuff is starting to get really nice and softened up. It usually just takes about 5 minutes or so for everything to get nice and softened up in there. I want to get these mushrooms in and kind of going slow on that eye. And the broth won't be ready for about an hour. So mentioned in my post yesterday that I started following a Daniel fast on Monday. And really, it was Monday evening because I was reading, I don't remember what I was reading, watching a video about the Daniel fast. I don't know. I had prayed and asked for God's help on my nutrition. Sometimes I make poor choices, and so the Daniel plan came to mind on Monday evening, and I looked it up, and I said, you know what, I'm going to do this. Now, my family was not too pleased because we were just getting ready to hop out of town. Throw those mushrooms in. We were on spring break, and we were getting ready to hop out of town here. I'm going to throw some garlic in. I love garlic. Garlic is a huge anti-inflammatory. So I will pour garlic in here. Well, never have too much, you know. And then I'm going to add also some diced tomatoes in a can. I actually don't have fresh tomatoes that I can cut up. Usually this year we'll have some diced tomatoes that we can make from the garden. But for now, we're using what we have. These are just diced tomatoes from Aldi. Probably could have let those mushrooms cook down a little bit more, but you don't have to. Again, it's your soup. Do what you want. Bring it back up to like a medium heat. Uh-huh. In your plate, in your bottom. Doing right? Now we're going to throw some cabbage in here. I love cabbage, so again, you do you. If you don't like cabbage, you could do red cabbage. Well, if you don't like cabbage, you probably won't like red either. But the other thing I'm going to tell you is if you haven't tried a food 20 times, you don't know if you like it or not. I'm going to be honest with you. In this household, we have our children try. We only make one meal, one dinner. Okay, there's, what's the phrase? It's either this or nothing.
Yeah.
So this is what we're eating. This is what we're having. You're more than welcome to join us. Or we don't, you know, occasionally, I have on occasion told Brian, who's our sports player, that he can have a bowl of cereal if he didn't really enjoy dinner or didn't have enough dinner. Here, you can season it up to your liking. So, oh, that's good. This one's good though, I think. Thank you. So I have some salt and pepper. You could grind the pepper too. Yeah, I guess you could. I mean, and truthfully, I'll be 100% honest with you. Fresh ingredients are always best. Like if you can have, you know, fresh marjoram, basil, rosemary, thyme, oregano, savory, and sage, your recipe is going to be elevated to the next level. But for now, I'm just going to add them into this recipe. So I've added some black salt, black pepper, Italian seasoning. I'm actually going to put more garlic in it because I like garlic in it. And then I'm going to put a little bit of heat in it. Some red pepper flakes. Lordy, lordy. All right. That looks awesome to me. And then we're going to let this kind of just simmer for a bit until the broth is ready to roll. It's looking good over here. We'll walk through that with you. Loaded with nutrients and that. You know, just such a healing soup, right? Healing soup, and that's what we want. And we want foods that are entering our body to nourish us and heal us. We don't want foods that are going to hurt us. And you know, for the longest time, I just figured, like, if it's on a store shelf, surely it's safe, right? Like, it's got to be safe. It's on the store shelf. Well, I've come to learn that that's not true. And years ago, I've lost weight by cutting soda. I've lost weight by cutting carbs. But each of those times, I think I failed on the messaging that what I put into my body, every single thing that I put into my body and that I put on my body has to be, at a minimum, not harming me. You know, soda, sugar is poison. I think Giselle said that this week or recently in an interview. Sugar is poison. White sugar is absolutely poison. I'm surprised. Is white sugar legal in Europe? I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't allow white sugar to be sold in Europe. I personally would prefer to follow Europe's ways with food. Cooking food at home is good for you, it's good for the environment, it's good for your community. We could feed the whole world if the whole world just ate whole foods. It's true. We got all of our goodies in there. We're just gonna let this sit for now, and then we'll come back and I'll go ahead and finish wrapping up here. All right, so I'm gonna do a voiceover of this section here because background noise from the bread machine going on in the background. So here we're going to take our homemade vegetable broth and we're gonna strain it into the vegetable soup mixture. So there's more than one way to do this. If you have a strainer, you can see how I'm straining it here, or you could strain it, which I realized after the fact, a little bit later in the process, with a strainer right over the soup mixture bowl. Makes it so easy. So just be careful with if your pan's going to be hot, you're going to want hot pads. You just pour that broth in, and you'll see here it was just the perfect amount. So when you're making your vegetable broth, you can put up to 4 quarts in. I think my Berkey was running low on water, so I think I only did 2 quarts, so it was perfect. So enjoy this nourishing soup. So good for you.